Over 160 deaths this year alone and counting. This is the deadly reality that the Arab community in Israel is living in. Demonstrations like here in Haifa or this spontaneous protest in Sechnin in the north of the country are trying to shift the attention on a community that is bleeding and devastated as many of the murder cases remain unsolved. According to the NGO Abraham Initiative, this year only 16 cases were followed by an indictment. This mother's son was murder victim number 157.
Where's the equality? If someone was killed in Afula, they send police and psychologists right away. Everything you want. What can I say? You are not human. You are crooks.
Meanwhile, in the Israeli government, the debate is focusing on whether or not to include the internal security agency called Shin Bet or Shabak in the investigations, a step that would have wide-ranging consequences. The Shin Bet is involved in investigating terror-related suspects and crimes that could divert the outcome of the upcoming municipal elections.
In the Arab sector, criminal organizations are active who have armed militias with thousands of soldiers and many weapons. They are terrorist organizations. In an all-out conflict, they will turn their weapons against the state of Israel.
But Shin Bet head Ronen Bar recently said that its involvement in crimes between citizens, quote, would turn Israel into a different state. Speaking to someone who worked for the Shin Bet for more than a decade.
The means that Shin Bet uses is top secret. If you're going to use it in order to solve crimes and to bring people to court and to justice, you need to expose the way you work. And this is something that once the Shin Bet will expose how it works, probably it will be less efficient than what it is today.
Others think the question is entirely political.
Including the Shabak means also changes and legislations that are related to the Shabak and to the authority and responsibility of the Shabak. Do the citizens of Israel want to enlarge the responsibilities of the Shabak? Because today they are talking about us, tomorrow maybe against the protesters.
And some think that the Shin Bet is already deeply involved in civilian matters.
They know about every political activist, they know about every criminal that exists in the Arab community, and they see that their only job is to prevent this crime and this violence from spilling over to the Jewish community. And actually, it is the job of the police to deal with this issue. The police has the authority and has the power.
Still, there are better technology means the Shin Bet has to get to criminals. But some say those advantages are minor and the price too high.
The Shin Bet sees a very wide intelligence picture. The police is working in a different way. You know, they have geographical areas. Sometimes the north doesn't know what's going on in the south and vice versa. So if we're talking about advantage of the Shin Bet getting into investigation, of course, the way the Shin Bet is working is much better than the police. But once you say, no, our society will be governed by the Shin Bet, again, you divide the population.
Fida Shahade is part of a collective that supports bereaved families. 2 years ago, it published a declaration against involving the Shin Bet, and her viewpoint has not changed.
All the reports that we got show that crimes are caused by the gaps in the Jewish and Arab society. When it comes to education, living conditions, social welfare, health, these gaps need years to be closed, and you need steps and execute a plan to do that. We say that the main solution is to rebuild trust between society and the institutions which offer you services. If you define us as enemies, you lose any bit of trust.
But rebuilding trust might be difficult under the current Israeli government. Far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is responsible for the police, is opposed by many Arab leaders. And the Shin Bet, too, won't rush to cooperate with Ben-Gvir, who had in the past monitored for his radicalism against Palestinians. And with the municipal elections at the end of October just around the corner, crime and murder will be the main topics in Arab Israeli localities. Some criminal organizations try to create cooperative electorates. This while budgets worth 200 million shekels, $500,000, were withheld by Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, as he said, in order not to fall into the hands of criminal gangs. But financial insecurity might even foster the crime.
When we talk about budgets also for social matters, education and youth and others, and them being withheld, it's hard for the municipalities to continue to open organizations, educational institutions and social work that deal with crime and violence. That leads youth to stay in their homes, neighborhoods, streets and crime because they don't have any other framework.
Some candidates running for municipality posts are living under constant threat, and recent weeks have seen an increase in crimes connected to the elections. In Nazareth, a mayoral candidate was shot. In Tira in central Israel, the city's director general was murdered. When people are targeted because of their work as elected public figures, the Shin Bet already has the authority to get involved. But instead of widening its competences further, the key might be involving the Arab community itself more.
There should be questioning from within the society, representatives from the Arab society that attend the meetings and hold the police accountable. If the police know there is someone that holds them accountable for every unsolved case, they would achieve more.
And meanwhile, fear and frustration prevail in big parts of the Arab community in Israel. As far as they are concerned, involving the Internal Security Agency is not the silver bullet, more a step that would widen the friction in society even further.